It's a beautiful new month. The month of February is finally here. Welcome to Business Breakfast, coming to you live from our studio here in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. I am Omobolanle Adeshui. Coming up on the program today, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reduced ATM withdrawal charges, interbank transfer fees, as it issues a downward review of charges for electronic banking transactions in its revised guidelines to charge by banks, other financial institutions, that's OFIs, and non-bank financial institutions as well. We'll take a look at the impact of this drive as we look at the sector this morning. And also to come, Nigerian equities market opens the week on a positive note as market capitalization of the Nigerian exchange rises by 226.1 billion naira on Monday to settle at 25.12 trillion naira on the show. Well, this is Business Breakfast. Now let's begin with some top business stories. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has disbursed a total of 23.2 billion naira to 28 companies whose projects were selected for funding in the first tranche of its newly introduced 100 for 100 policy for production and productivity PPP initiative. CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who made this known at the formal launch of the 100 for 100 PPP scheme, also said the Apex Bank would soon introduce a new foreign exchange bidding regime. Emefiele said the loans disbursed to beneficiaries of the 100 for 100 policy followed due screening of the applications received. He said the projects valued at 23.2 billion naira comprised 14 in the manufacturing sector, 12 in the agricultural sector, and 2 in the healthcare sector. He assured that CBN was ready to continue to provide the needed support, financial and otherwise, to fast-track the development of the economy. And moving on, the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria has stated that it is seeking clarification from the federal government on how the suspension of petrol subsidy removal will affect market operations. Recall the federal government had last week suspended its plan to remove fuel subsidy in June this year. It also proposed to extend the subsidy removal implementation period by 18 months, saying it would engage the legislature for the amendment of the Petroleum Industry Bill. However, the chairman, Mr. Olumide Adeosun, said the decision to suspend petrol subsidy removal does not bode well for the petroleum downstream sector. Adeosun stated that the members of the association are currently seeking to consult with the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and other industry stakeholders to understand exactly how this decision would impact the other provisions in the Petroleum Industry Act, as well as market operations. And also, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, plans to unveil a new forex bidding regime to support Nigerian companies in need of forex, particularly those involved in local production and job creation. This was disclosed by the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who spoke at the launch of the 100 for 100 policy for production and productivity PPP. According to Emefiele, the new forex regime would be market-driven and will also open up greater opportunities to grow the manufacturing sector and boost employment in the country. Recall the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and several operators in the organized private sector, OPS, have been pressuring the CBN to float the naira in the foreign currency market. Furthermore, the CBN stated that it would maintain support for the naira and aid manufacturers in the acquisition of foreign exchange. And also, the federal government has disclosed that the first phase of the Presidential Power Initiative will boost the reliability of electricity supply to 40 million people across the country. It also stated that the PPI would create 11,000 direct and indirect jobs in Nigeria and also aim at improving the living standards of Nigerians through the provision of constant and affordable electricity. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made this known at the flag-off of the PPI training on network development studies by the federal government of Nigeria Power Company in Abuja. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, who was represented by the Minister of State for Power, Godi Jediagba, stated that in 18 months, the project would add 2,000 megawatts of electricity to the national grid. Well, that's about the size of the top business stories. Coming up in a moment, we turn our searchlight on the Central Bank of Nigeria slashing charges for automated teller machine ATM withdrawal and interbank transfers. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has slashed charges for automated teller machine, that's ATM, withdrawal and interbank transfers. CBN's review of the charges was contained in its revised guidelines to charge by banks, other financial institutions, and non-bank financial institutions. ATM withdrawals that attract a service charge of 65 naira will now be 35 naira after the third withdrawal within the same month, according to the CBN. It also slashed the interbank transfers to a maximum of 50 naira per transaction from 300 naira, and the CBN has also amended guidelines to charges by banks, other financial institutions, that's OFIs, and non-bank financial institutions. The CBN has downward reviewed charges for electronic banking transactions and electronic banking transactions as well. CBN said the reviewed guidelines include a review of other bank charges to comply with market changes. Now, let's get talking about this. I have Adewale Justus, a business development consultant, joining me live in the studio this morning to discuss this issue. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Now, you'd recall that this isn't the first time the CBN will be doing a downward review of these ATM charges. Yep. In 2019, there was a review where it removed card maintenance fee on all cards linked to current accounts. That was in December 2019, and also asked the banks to charge a maximum of 1 naira per mil for customer-induced debit transactions to third parties and transfers or lodgements to the customer's account in other banks on current accounts only. Now, 2 years down the line, why is there a need to do this again? Does this mean that the first time it was done, it wasn't implemented?
Thank you very much. You will recall the peculiar nature with Nigeria. It is not the enactment of laws or directives that makes the issues of Nigeria be Nigerian. It is the compliance, monitoring, follow-up. Because like you read out, if it was directed then and it is being complied with, there wouldn't be the need. So the lacuna has been, we will churn it out, we'll roll out the directives, but the mechanism and the spirit for monitoring and ensuring compliance has been the cancer.
So you're saying that it means that it wasn't complied with?
It was not complied with.
What do you think is responsible for that? Because I know that there was also a fine of 2 million naira attached, saying that any breach in the in that policy would attract a fine of 2 million naira to banks. So would you say that the CBN didn't do enough, or were there not enough consequences attached to it?
The consequence was ruled out alongside the directives. But monitoring and enforcement, you see, like I do say, I did banking as an internal controller, 15 years. Something very unique with internal control is that you churn out the policies and you follow up compliance. So it was not just the CBN giving out the charges, the directives, and the guidelines, but the ability and mechanism of following up. If I may share something with you, does the CBN, as we are speaking, have a mechanism to pull complaints by customers with respect to the directives for new charges? And if there was, because I am not aware there is any, if there used to be, did the CBN follow up with the respective non-complying banks? So you will see the trouble here is not the directives, it is the compliance spirit. The monitoring mechanism. Does the CBN have a means of monitoring? And the other aspect, is there a pull or is there a trail between the Nigerian bank audience and the regulator? The CBN is the regulator here. Now, the banking audience, the customers, is there a route? Is there a chart?
Like a
is there a tunnel? Yeah. Through which the satisfied customers can get to the CBN with acknowledgement. Hello? Because
several times we hear them say you can send mails to us.
Those mails, they are pseudo, they are default. You send it 7 million and 1 times. Nobody responds thereto. But are there mechanisms? Are there systems through which the satisfied customers or disgruntled customers can get back to the CBN?
So what kind of mechanisms are you looking at?
It's simple. It's all about the spirit of the letters. Hello? The guidelines are letters, but the spirit behind the letters. If the CBN has come out to tell us that, though, the bank is supposed to charge so, and now there is an open tunnel, open channel through which anyone who gets charged beyond that by the CBN can revert to the CBN tied to a specific desk. Do you understand?
That's in maybe every bank.
Tied to a specific desk, not just a pseudo platform or an open-ended mailbox. No, a customized mailbox, a desk. That the moment, for someone like me that is very procedural, if I send such a mail to your box, known to be a very direct and personal mail, I send it to you, you do not respond, I send a reminder, I send the third reminder, then physically I walk into that organization and seek a redress.
Now, the Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, CBN, Chibuzo Ifobi, in a circular said that the recent review was in response to further achieve an evolution in the financial industry. Now, going by this development, how do you see this helping not achieve that financial revolution?
There was something I discussed at a forum yesterday. You see, these non-cash related issues have a way of inducing a form of financial intelligence and financial literacy in the populace. Because even if you are not anyway lettered or learned financially, but if you are conversant with banking through the ATM or through the internet, if you are a regular or a constant user of those internet-oriented banking services, at a time you will be a bit closer to banking per se, because you will get used to it and then they will be part of what you know. So they have the opportunity or the possibility of enhancing the financial intelligence and literacy of the average Nigerian. Because with anti-cash cash banking, more people will get closer to the bank. Because like I'm telling you, I'm talking to you, I wouldn't know how many months last I've been to the bank. I have checkbooklets at home that I no longer use. Online banking, ATM-oriented transaction, and so on. So it would enable the people to get, and then for the national GDP and some other data, economic data, when online banking or internet banking of this nature is increased, the government at the central can capture more. So this portends a lot of opportunities if sincerely implemented.
That's
do you
it,
understand?
if we do the follow-up and monitoring.
If the regulator is sincere, per spirit, not by the letters, because the letters have been churned out. Who follows them? You see, there is a reporting structure for any serious government or any serious administrator or even a regulator in this instance. Okay, as customers, this is this line, this is this mailbox, to which these contents can be forwarded. If not satisfied or if not attended to, there is another that people can follow up with. Even the media would assist, but do we have such?
There's also supposed to be a customer protection network where you can report these things too.
Legislatively, there is, but inactive. Nobody works there. Nobody attends to your issues. So the problem is the spirit of the letters, not the wordings.
Well, let's look at one of the reasons the CBN said that they did this review. They're saying it's aimed at making financial services more accessible and affordable to various stakeholders in the economy. How would you assess the CBN's numerous bank charges, especially
not
in
CBN,
recent times?
not CBN, it's the banks. Banks charges, not CBN's charges.
If the CBN does its role of regulating, these banks would not be able to impose these charges.
And you know, there's the banks latch on the negligence and the impotence of the entire banking audience. A lot of us, a lot of Nigerian banks customers who do not get interested in following up or even reporting some of these anomalies.
Because those who have reported have not gotten any results.
That is on that side. You know, as it is in Israel, so it is in Egypt. Now we know for the regulator, the CBN, there are so much gaps. But again, before you talk about the gaps, pin the CBN to such gaps by doing what you are supposed to do. If you are, as a customer of a bank, you have been overcharged. Because like I do monthly for some of my clients, I get all your bank statements at the end of every month and I review and I summarize. Then I take account of all the charges. So if there is any anomaly officially will write back to the bank.
But how many Nigerians can do that?
That is where the major issue is. Most of us are not that spirited to follow up such, but that is the bane of the financial crisis in Nigeria. A lot of us should sacrifice more to doing this, to going through this trail. It could be difficult, it could be tedious.
Yeah,
but that is what is required.
It is tedious, as you have said.
Yep.
But another thing is you going through all that effort and then getting the expected result.
If the number increases, they would not rest, even at CBN.
So in assessing how they have performed, especially in regulating those banks, in their unnecessary charges, how would you rate the CBN?
Sincerely, when this came out, because not minding the indolence on the part of Nigerian bankers, I mean the bank customers, at least this regulation keeps alive the hope that truly the CBN is not only watching, but CBN seems to act. And the bankers, I mean the banks now, on their part, with all each of these directives is an indictment. Hello? Indictment of a breach on the part of the banks. So the banks as well, they are very conscious.
But this time around, I don't think there's any form of fine or any form of penalty.
No, the extant fines and penalties subsist. Extant.
The one in 2019.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's only the areas that were changed that you saw re-legislated or redirected in respect of.
So does this downward review mean an ease in economic activities for businesses?
You know,
Nigerians
you would,
generally?
if you, like I said, I have some clients, there are volumes of transactions. And you see, because if you see the downward review of intrabank transfers, now that is free. If not free, if you summarize, you know, we have clients that do over 100 or 1,000 transactions, even intra-bank transactions in a month. But with what the banks used to charge, you will see that's a loop on the customer's revenue. But now, if it is free, as it is being made to be, that's a lot of relief.
Means economic activities will now be easier.
Of course, it will be easier.
You know, there are some people who are of the school of thought that this is also a way to push for the coming election, saying that, yes, 2022 is here, a lot of electioneering is going on.
This is what I call, this is what I call political idiosyncrasy. People are just rising from nowhere to attack whatever is here. Let me share something with you. Yesterday night, when I was reading through this with my wife, I shared an opinion. Now, I said, with intrabank fee zeroized, do you know, as an employer, if you have 100 or 1,000 employees working with you, and you'll be making their salary payments to their respective bank accounts across many banks. But with this now, you know, that would usually attract some charges. But now with intrabank transfers being free, you can get them open account in the same bank with the employer, and you make their salary credits FOC.
Now let's look at the impact of this particular downward review on the DMBs, as the deposit money balance.
Yep. Yes. Of course, although for some banks that have been active and alive, it does not negatively impact on them because their transaction, you know, when you consider per mil and turnover, you know, if you are a standing bank, you don't get threatened by this. So it's just for some other, although, and again, for some banks that have been trending on illegalities, because deliberate, like I share with you, I review my client's bank statement. I have over 5 of them that I do every month. And from each of these, uniquely, there are some unique items of crimes, financial crimes, to certain banks. There are certain things that they deliberately do almost every month. But with this now, like if I'm interested in trouble, I can pull up 1 or 2 banks with these directives and expose these issues to the CBN. So there are impacts on the banks, but provided the banks is legal and legitimate in their operations, there may be no threat.
Well, let's look at the fact that the velocity of money would now increase, especially in the economic activities. Would this affect or impact inflation?
Of course, yes. It will definitely affect inflation because, you know, the supply of money is a critical factor in inflation. But now, if online banking services, internet-related banking, non-cash banking services are disencouraged by directives of this nature, if fully complied with and monitored, by the regulator, less of physical cash. And by implication, the government will spend less in minting and printing physical currency.
So how do you expect that to affect inflation? It
will affect inflation because it will reduce money supply in the economy. And the more money, as an individual, if you are walking on the street and you are holding 1,000 naira in your wallet, and maybe at the junction, you saw people displaying this for sale, and on checking out, the price is 1,750. Automatically, you may be blotted out of the purchasing possibility of that because of the limited physical cash in your wallet.
So you're saying this would encourage
more of
online banking?
Yes, it will.
Because if you look at one of the things this hopes to achieve, it's also to bridge the gap between the banked and the unbanked.
Yes, because Nigeria has a large unbanked group. So it is now an encouragement because the ATM monthly withdrawal, that's a monthly transaction fee. Yeah, that ATM maintenance charge, then account maintenance fee. If you have been paying 65 naira for an ATM transaction and it is now dropped to 35 naira, it's a respite so much, and that will now attract more people into the banking fold. That will reduce the volume of physical cash ravaging the economy, and then the discomfort of walking into a bank physically to do cash-related banking transactions.
So do you think this would reduce the revenue of the deposit money banks in any way?
Provided the bank is active per transaction and customer patronage.
How do you mean?
It wouldn't, because it's Adibin, you are a bank and you've been having a turnover volume of maybe 2 million customers in a month. What has been taken off is meager when you pull it. But a bank that has been struggling to survive, and particularly on some bit of illegalities, because some of these overcharges, under the table charges, are what some banks thrive on. So such banks are in a jungle now.
All right. Thank you so much, Adewale Justus, Business Development Consultant, for being a part of Business Breakfast this morning.
It's my pleasure.
And have a great day.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will be taking you to the stock markets. Please stay with us.
Mama, you're coming to Lagos. Banga.
Most people don't understand the magic of a perfect skin, the allure of a well-pampered skin. We bounce from skincare products to skincare products, from spa to spa. Looking for that ideal solution. I found the solution. And it's Blemiville Skincare and Spa. My name is Neil, and I'm proud to be a part of the Blemiville family.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's look at the stock markets. The Nigeria exchange closed on a positive note amid sell-offs and buy interest as the benchmark all-share index appreciated by 91 basis points. The Nigeria exchange all-share index closed at 46,624.67 points to reflect a growth of 0.91% from the previous trading day and a year-to-date return of 9.41%. Meanwhile, the market capitalization increased by 226.12 billion naira. At the close of markets on Monday, 31st January 2022, the stock exchange market value stood at 25.12 trillion naira from 24.9 trillion naira in the previous trading day. The market breadth closed positive as CHIP PLC led 33 gainers and 23 losers, topped by UPL at the end of the day session. The stock market has advanced 3,908.23 basis points since the start of the year. Now let's take a look at the top gainers and the top decliners. The Nigeria Exchange top 5 gainers, CHIP PLC, gained 10% to close at 66 kobo, while the NTR gained 10% to close at 3 naira 30 kobo. RTB Risco gained 10% to close at 22 kobo, while Presco gained 9.97% to close at 96 naira 55 kobo. The Nigeria Exchange Group gained 9.93% to close at 23 naira 25 kobo. And now to the top 5 decliners. We have the UPL losing 9.43% to close at 2 naira 40 kobo, while Lasako lost 8.85% to close at 1 naira 3 kobo. Link Assurance gained 7.84% to close at 47 kobo, while the Mutual Benefit lost 7.14% to close at 26 kobo. Prestige lost 6.52% to close at 43 kobo. And now to look at the top 5 trades by volume, we see Fidelity trading 38.03 units, while the RTB Risco traded 30.03 million units rather. Transcorp traded 27.44 million units. First Bank of Nigeria Holdings traded 26.7 million units, while Link Assurance traded 23.02 million units. And now to the top 5 trades by value. We have the Nigeria Exchange Group trading 472.08 million naira. Zenith Bank trading 454.9 million naira. GTCO traded 312.9 million naira, while the First Bank of Nigeria Holdings traded 310.5 million naira. And Presco traded 203.05 million naira. To further analyze the market and what went down is Ambrose Omodion, Chief Research Officer at Invest Data Limited, joining us now. Thank you so much for joining us, Ambrose.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Now, before we look at what happened in the market yesterday, let's do a brief review of what the market was like in January.
Yeah, January was a bullish market with some volatility in between due to profit taking. But the reason that the month closed positively at the end of trading on Monday with 9.15%, better than the previous 3 years January. Means that January, historically has gone to a very bullish month in the last few years. For me, these are a way investors should also be thinking in their portfolio management, knowing that each month in Nigeria's market has no different peculiarity that comes with them. Now we know that January, after Christmas, whether there is bullish run in December or the very situation, January has proved that in the last 3 years, 4 years, that has been a positive month. That means investors in subsequent years should know how to plan when they're making their investment decision, especially in the last quarter of the year. Now that we have seen January closing positive, I feel like this vibration that we saw in January is going to flow into the month of February. The reason why it's going to do so is one, because the earnings reporting season has changed a little, and also the global happenings also influencing the market. Why the last CBN MPC meeting also has impact on the market. That means between now and the next MPC meeting, we're seeing rate to be more stable. And if yield of these equities that are exchange are higher than what is prevailing in the physical market, we're like to see more funds playing into the market in this month of February before the next MPC in March. On that note, most of the companies that had December year end that just released their unaudited accounts for the month of for the quarter ended December and for the year 2021, and even investors and insight what is to expect from these quoted companies. But most of them have done better than expected. And that note, they likely payout going likely to go their payout at the end of this financial year that just ended December 31st is high, because we have seen the earnings of this company unaudited. That means between now and the audited account, the difference in the figure will be just little. But you as an investor, it's time for you to look at these figures and go and change this company in the last 5 years. What has been their payout history? If you see that the payout of this company, it will guide you to know if this company will grow their dividend for 2021 or not. For investors that are to us, this is what they figure out to know how to position for dividend, because as from this month of February, I was just crossing by all this, we expect companies to start releasing their results with corporate action. What we saw in the month of January was earnings without corporate action, except from MTN that declared 8 naira 57 kobo. But now we're going to see more of companies in this February coming with corporate action. That will be what will attract more investors to the market, because it's a time for reward. When you are rewarding investors, most others that is not different. When they see this payout, they would like to jump into the market. That will also add more momentum to the market, and that will bring more liquidity to the market.
Sounds like good news. Well, let's look at what happened in the market yesterday, where we saw investors gaining 226.12 billion naira as the Nigeria Exchange All Share Index inched up by 0.91% to open the week positive. What more can you tell us about this?
Now, if you look at what happened in the market yesterday, you know that there was a little improvement in the volume of transactions in the deals, and also this as a result of investors reacting to the impressive numbers that were just released to the market. And these are numbers that will start no reward. If markets are reacting to these numbers and this rate, they will think how it's going to react when it's coming with dividend. What we saw yesterday, so that the result of Presco was positive and it beat market expectation. You see that market is still reacting to that. But yesterday, that hit the market, and today, some things that means yesterday 10%, that means investor at position, and some few local stocks that just bring up. But that yesterday, there was a demand for MTN because of the 8 naira 55 what they pay. You see that dividend has a way of driving what prices up, especially when your earnings are good and you are paying dividend in addition to your performance. Now that people are looking for most of these companies to use their number, you see that market when it is there, January, I would say that today, February will start on a good note. But don't forget that in the last 5 years, February has not been a good market in Nigeria. So we expect that for this earnings season, we might be see a little change in this February.
So apparently this February is looking good as against the previous ones we've been having.
Yeah.
All right, the market has, of course, seen improvement in bargain hunting in recent times as the NGX closed above 25 trillion naira on Tuesday. That's an all-time high, 46,000 basis points on Monday's trading session. Now, help us make sense of this. How strong is this trend?
No, for me, when you see the market crossing various resistance level, it's a sign that the bull is in charge. Now that we're seeing that the market has crossed 145, 46, and touching as high as 46,905.63, almost touching 47, it's a sign that if the numbers we're seeing remain positive, breaking out 47 is easy because we have less than 100 points to break out 7, and that will be on the strength of earnings. And don't forget that if you want to see whether there's a rebound or there's a breakout, you must look at what is driving this breakout. If there's volume transaction, there's increase in buying interest of people in the market, and also there is a positive outcome of monetary policy, which we saw in the previous week. And also earnings are positive. These are the factors that will drive the market between now and the next MPC meeting. For that, we'll see market breaking out the 47 index in the nearest future. Because when we see more numbers coming and they're positive, markets will maintain this momentum of buying interest in dividend paying stock.
So how should investors position themselves for this positivity?
I've said it earlier. I said what they should do now. Investors they are wanting to see the unaudited account of these companies at that end of January, which was yesterday. We're able to lay a hand on this company. Yes, there's no dividend here, but the numbers are released. I'm giving you an insight. What you as an investor, go and look at the 5 years numbers of this company and look at what is their payout for the last 5 years. If you can get their payout for the last 5 years, find an average of their payout for 5 years. Take it on that numbers we have seen to tell whether the company will grow their dividend or not. Don't forget that when a company grows dividend, it attracts more patronage for that. So, for example, when Vitafoam would have been 100% from 70 kobo the previous year to 150 kobo this year, you saw how the price moved from 21 naira to almost 25 naira because of growth. It grew their dividend by 100%. If their companies are going to repeat such growth in the market, it is for investors that are designing to now take advantage of time now of this data to know exactly which companies are positioned where that has to go.
All right, thank you so much, Ambrose Omodion. I guess we'll just leave it there for today. Thank you so much for your analysis on the show. Ambrose Omodion is Chief Research Officer, Invest Data Limited. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll move to the global market. Please stay with us. You're still watching Business Breakfast on iBrandTV. Now let's take you to the global oil market where crude futures pushed to fresh 7-year high January 31 amid ongoing Ukraine tensions and concerns that limited OPEC Plus spare capacity would create tighter supply balances. NYMEX March WTI settled $1.33 higher than $88.15 per barrel, and ICE March Brent climbed $1.18 to finish at $91.21 per barrel. OPEC and its allies are largely expected to affirm another 400,000 barrels per day hike in crude oil production quotas for March when they meet February 2. However, the inability of several members to hit their current targets means the market will likely see a much smaller increase than these headline figures suggest next month. OPEC Plus spare capacity has been cited by analysts as a key supply concern for 2022, with information from the Joint Organization Data Initiative showing Saudi crude inventories at their lowest since at least 2002. While member countries like Nigeria have been pumping consistently below quota in recent months. And now we'll take you to the commodity market, where gold prices were flat on Tuesday as a weaker dollar countered concerns about potential interest rate hikes, while investors waited for a slew of economic data to gauge the strength of global economies. Spot gold was little changed at $1,797.94 per ounce by 1:40 GMT. US gold future were up 0.2% at $1,799.10. The dollar index moved away from multi-month peaks as investors consolidated gains after the currency hit a 1.5-year high on Friday on expectations of a faster pace of rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic, a non-voter on the Federal Open Market Committee, told the Financial Times in an interview over the weekend that the Fed could supersize a rate increase to 0.5 percentage point if inflation remains stubbornly high. Fed funds future late Monday had priced in just under 5 hikes for 2022, or about 121 basis points of tightening. They also showed a 17% chance of a 50 basis point increase in March IRPR, down from as high as 32% on Friday. Well, that's it on Business Breakfast this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. My name is Omobolanle Adeshui, and from all of us here, it's bye for now.
vests were fashionable for women to wear as part of their everyday style in the late 1900s and early 2000s. Vests have been seen on the runway and in the streets ever since. To say the least, the vest is legendary, and it's still very much in trend till date. With a pair of leather pants, just like the popular schoolcore trend that convinced us to wear pleated skirts and sweatshirts, this wardrobe combo is suddenly everywhere. The best part about this style is that it's simple to put together, while also seeming unique and fashionable. In other words, don't overthink it. A basic sweater vest styled over a black top with leather pants will be more than enough. Then, complete the look with any type of footwear, whether it's a boot or loafers. Finding a vest with an eye-catchy color or print instead of one that's solid and neutral is an easy way to add fun and flair to your outfit. In other words, don't overthink it. A basic sweater vest styled over a black top with leather pants will be more than enough. Then complete the look with any type of footwear, whether it's boots or loafers. Finding a vest with an eye-catchy color or print instead of one that's solid and neutral is an easy way to add fun and flair to your outfit.